You know how sometimes you get told something is just true, like a fact everyone accepts?
Oh, absolutely, like common knowledge.
Exactly. And then you try it yourself, maybe a recipe or some life hack.
And it just completely falls flat for you.
Right. It doesn't work at all. It's that weird moment when, accepted wisdom just bumps right up against your own reality.
That clash.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that kind of situation, but in the garden.
Ah, the garden. Always full of surprises.
Isn't it just our focus is this really neat short blog post. It's called Mona Lavender, A Gardener's Second Bloom and Reflection.
Yeah.
It was published super recently, August 20th, 2025, by a gardener named Eng.
Eng, got it.
Now, like I said, it's not long, but it's got this great personal observation that kind of pushes back against some, common gardening advice.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So our mission really is to explore what Eng's experience with this plant, Mona Lavender, teaches us. Things like patience, observation.
And that gap between general advice and what happens in your space.
Precisely. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah, what's fascinating here, I think, is how just one person's story, when they document it well, like Eng seems to have done, it can actually shed light on bigger truths. We often lean on these big studies or like general rules.
Sure, the standard advice.
And that's useful. But a single observed experience, it gives you that nuance, that real-world context that often gets totally lost.
Yeah, the messy details.
Exactly. It makes you ask, okay, what assumptions are baked into that common knowledge? And do they actually apply here to me?
Totally. And Eng seems to be almost like running a mini experiment in their own garden, which I find really cool. It's not just casual planting. The post says, and I thought this was great, in my usual gardening approach, I always buy 2 samples of a particular plant
2 samples.
to assess its suitability for different microclimates in my garden, as well as its ease of maintenance and propagation. So very deliberate.
That is deliberate. It's quite methodical, really. Almost scientific for a home garden setting.
Right.
And that's what makes Eng's findings valuable. Because think about it. Most advice assumes this sort of standard garden, right? An average.
Well, size fits all.
But Eng isn't just accepting that. They're actively testing their own specific spots. Buying 2 lets you do a kind of A/B test.
Like one in sun, one in shade, maybe.
Exactly. Or maybe different watering. And that gives you actual data points, real-world information about that plant in that garden.
It turns gardening from just planting into, active learning.
It really does. You generate insights tailored specifically to your conditions, which teaches us all about paying attention to our own little microenvironments.
And the plant they're doing this with, the focus of this whole deep dive, is Mona Lavender.
Ah, Mona Lavender. Plectranthus. Beautiful plant.
Gorgeous, right? Those purple flowers, dark leaves. Lovely name, too. Okay, so here's where it gets, really interesting. Eng starts by mentioning what they'd read about Mona Lavender.
That's common wisdom bit.
Yep. Eng says the word is that it can bloom all year round and is easy to propagate.
Ah, the dream ticket. Blooms all year round.
Isn't it, though? That's what everyone wants. You picture constant color, like zero effort beauty.
You plant it, walk away, and it just performs. That's the fantasy.
Totally.
And, that really highlights an issue with some gardening facts. They're well-meaning, but they often oversimplify.
How so?
Well, a plant blooming year-round, that's not just baked into the plant itself. It depends hugely on so many things.
Like what?
Oh, the specific variety, climate, light, soil, water, nutrients.
Yeah.
And really importantly, the type and consistency of care.
Right. It's not automatic.
Not at all. So it raises this big question. When you hear a claim like blooms all year, how much does that really apply to your specific spot, your way of doing things?
It's easy to just assume it will work anywhere.
Very easy. And Eng's experience kind of shows the danger in that assumption.
Yeah, because Eng comes right out and says it doesn't quite match up. The post says, pretty plainly, I've found from my own experience that this isn't entirely true. For my specific gardening style, occasionally fertilizing and watering.
Okay, so the care level is mentioned right there. Occasionally.
It's honest, right? It's not a complaint, just, this is what happened for me. My reality didn't match the general rule.
A straightforward observation.
And Eng adds that it took quite a long time for the plant to bloom again, even with occasional fertilizing and watering.
A long time.
Yeah, the blog uses the phrase significant period. That really stands out. It wasn't just like a week's delay.
No, it sounds like a proper wait.
Yeah, imagine having that expectation of year-round flowers, seeing the first bloom, and then just green for
That
ages.
can be frustrating for a gardener. You start wondering what you're doing wrong.
Exactly. It feels like a challenge.
And this difference, this contradiction Ang notes, is really the core point, isn't it? It highlights those individual conditions.
Definitely.
It suggests that occasional fertilizing and watering, which, let's face it, probably means a more relaxed approach.
Yeah, maybe less intensive.
It was enough for the plant to survive, clearly, but not enough in Ang-specific garden for it to meet that all-year-round blooming promise.
Right. You needed more, maybe.
Potentially more, or something different. It's not judging Ang's style. It's about the plant's needs in that environment.
And it makes you think about microclimates, like you said earlier.
Absolutely. That spot by a sunny wall versus an exposed corner, totally different worlds for a plant.
Even in the same small garden.
Exactly. Sun, wind, drainage, heat reflection, tiny variations make a huge difference to how a plant performs, how often it blooms.
So occasional care in one place might be totally different from occasional somewhere else.
Precisely. General advice is just general.
Yeah.
It's a starting point, not an unbreakable law.
Mm-hmm.
Ang's story is a perfect example of why we need to, well, watch and learn from our own patch.
So, okay, after this significant period, Aang does get the payoff.
Ah, the second bloom.
Yes, the second blooming. You can almost feel the relief, the satisfaction in the writing.
Mm-hmm. Validate.
Yeah, seeing those flowers again after waiting so long, it validates the effort. Even if it was just occasional, it shows that just sticking with it, observing.
It paid off in the end. The plant responded.
Right, like it finally revealed its potential, but on its own schedule, or maybe under Aang's specific conditions.
Patience rewarded.
But it doesn't stop just with the bloom. Aang reflects on it, which makes the post really interesting.
Goes a bit deeper.
Yeah. Aang ends with this really thoughtful question, kind of thinking out loud. Perhaps I should invest more effort on this plant species.
Not blaming the plant, but looking at their own input.
Exactly. It's not a complaint. It's like self-assessment, a willingness to maybe change the strategy based on what actually happened.
And that question, perhaps I should invest more effort. Ah, that's so important. It goes way beyond just gardening.
How do you mean?
Well, it speaks to this whole idea of continuous learning and refinement
Mm-hmm.
in anything we do, right?
Adapting based on results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Adapting expectations, learning from what you actually see happening, not just what you were told would happen.
So Aang isn't saying the advice was useless or that they failed?
Not at all. They're recognizing that their approach, based on that advice and a certain effort level, didn't get the advertised result for them.
Okay.
So instead of just giving up or blaming the plant, Aang is thinking, okay, maybe I need to adjust my strategy.
Right. Change the inputs.
If you connect that to the bigger picture, it's about embracing nuance, questioning assumptions, being flexible when reality doesn't match the plan.
Which is pretty fundamental to getting better at anything.
It's totally fundamental. It's learning, it's problem solving, it's like iterating on a design or tweaking how you practice something. You observe, you adjust, you try again.
So Aang's Mona Lavender experience is kind of a metaphor for that whole process.
I think it is. It makes you wonder, what's the Mona Lavender in your own life? What might respond differently if you invested a bit more effort, or maybe just a different kind of effort?
That's a great way to put it. So wrapping this up then, what's the big takeaway from Aang's little garden story?
Yeah.
For me, it really drives home that contrast, sometimes a really sharp contrast, between general knowledge and your own specific experience.
Yes, that gap we talked about.
And it shows the power of just watching carefully, systematically observing, even in a casual way like Aang did with the two plants.
That systematic part is key.
And the importance of being willing to adapt when things don't go according to the script, Knowledge isn't just stuff you read, it's often stuff you figure out yourself.
Absolutely. It leaves us with a really good question to ponder, I think.
Which is?
How often do we just accept general advice without really testing it against our own lives, our own situations?
Probably quite often.
Yeah. Whether it's gardening or a diet or a work strategy or whatever, what could we learn if we were a bit more like Aang? A bit more experimental.
A bit more willing to observe and adjust.
Exactly. What if we decided to invest that focused effort when things don't quite line up with what we've been told?
It encourages you to be more active in your own learning.
Right. Trusting your own observations, your own experience as valuable data, not just passively taking in the rules.
That's really powerful. So maybe the next time you hear some definitive fact or foolproof rule.
Especially one that promises easy, amazing results.
Yeah. Pause for a second. Ask yourself, does my own experience maybe tell a slightly different story, a more nuanced one?
Because often, the richest lessons are hiding right there in those personal observations.
Definitely something to think about. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive today.
Yeah, this was a good one.
Go out there and maybe do some observing of your own. In the garden, at work, wherever. You might just be surprised by what you find.